All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are here for the Objective Yield Management meeting. Some of you have both corn and soybeans. A couple states are only one or the other. Today's project code we will use, if you are in a state that only has one commodity, that is the project code you will use. Otherwise, we do ask you to split the time today, half of it to 104 and the other half to 102. Before we go ahead and get started, we do have our new AD management team. So I'd like each of us to take a time to introduce ourselves. I will go ahead and start. My name is Debbie Martin. I am the new National Associate Director. What that means is where you guys have been working with your individual ADs, I am working on national projects, mainly working with NAST to try and figure out what some of these new processes are going to be, while also supporting your guys' ADs. Prior to about 1 month ago, when we started with NASDA, I was working with NAST and as a NASDA coordinator in the Upper Midwest region. And I see Amanda next on my list, so I'll turn it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Debbie. My name is Amanda Cook. I'm the Midwest Plains Associate Director, and prior to this, I was a supervisor out of Northeastern Kansas.
All right. Casey?
Hi, everyone. My name's Casey Hubble. I'm the new Associate Director for the Central South region. So that we have 9 states, starting from Utah and Arizona east to Mississippi. Like Debbie, I am new to NASS. I've been here for about a month. I came from the Oklahoma State Department of Agriculture, where I was working on some surveys there. And I'm based out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. So nice to meet you, everyone.
Josh, I see you.
Good afternoon or morning, I think. I don't know about where everybody is. I got to keep that in mind still. I am the associate director for Northeast, located in Michigan and halfway between the city of Detroit and the state of Ohio border. Joined as well at the same time. Came from USDA Food Safety Inspection Service before NASDA.
Berto.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I mean, I have the best place. I'm in Orlando, Florida. So, all right. So my name is Roberto Sanchez. Thank you for having me this in this afternoon in this meeting. Actually, I coming from NASA, so I spent 8 years over there. Went to California for a little bit, then moved to Florida for a little bit as well. I'm still in Florida, in Orlando, and I spent 2 years in Frames Maintenance Group, which is the people that handle Elmo, your sampling frame. So yeah, if you submit a record with a comment and we did not put it there, yeah, you can blame me for that. So I look forward to work with you all.
All right. Thank you. So with that, like I said, we're going to go ahead and start the Objective Yield Management meeting. All of our ADs are going to take some time to discuss a few topics with you to prepare for your coach groups that you guys will be having. And with that, I am actually going to turn it over to Casey to start us off.
Thank you, Debbie. So yeah, I get the honor of starting us off. And before we start talking about the mini schools, there's a few things that I want to go over. The first is pertaining to the online training materials, which are all posted on the NASDA webpage. Enumerators will need to watch and read the resources before attending your coach sessions. We do have some new processes, and both of those trainings are meant to work together. So if an enumerator does not do the online training, they don't work. Oh, why? As coaches, you'll need to ask if enumerators have any questions from the home study materials. We want everything to be answered before we start collecting data. So if an enumerator reaches out to you and you don't know the answer, please reach out to your manager and your associate director. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so now let's talk about the equipment that you'll need. NAS equipment shipped to the enumerators last week on July 18th. This included a measuring tape, caliper, counter, a field pin, and scale soybean frame. NASDA also sent a form to all enumerators asking if they had a bucket, mallet, shears, bamboo sticks, and a corn scale battery. So your associate director will let you know when those NASDA items ship. Corn scales all need to be calibrated in the field. If a scale is outside the allowed difference, let your associate director know ASAP so we can get a new scale shipped to you. And this is kind of the same for all supplies needed during data collection. We don't expect it to happen very often, but if something is lost or broken, please email your associate director ASAP so we can get you the right materials. Next slide. So OI assignments will ship to enumerators by July 25th. There are some changes this year that I wanted to highlight. Questionnaires were not labeled by sample, and kit envelopes were not pre-assembled. There's a document included to provide instructions of what is to be included in each kit envelope. We suggest you taking the time to review this in your small groups. Next slide. So the main goal today is to make sure that everyone is prepared for your coach field sessions. Everyone should have their meeting already set up and information in the training information form. It's your responsibility to share that training information with your enumerators. There was a form to submit training information in the email last week, but if you've not yet completed that, please do so by the end of today. And we also provided talking points when we sent the invitation to this meeting. So we're going to go through all of those topics here. Your small groups, just a few quick reminders, but your attitude as the leader will reflect the attitude of the whole group. So please remember to bring and keep a positive attitude. In addition, everyone needs to stay on task from the newest enumerator to the most experienced. And then lastly, try to keep everyone engaged. So everyone should be practicing in the field, whether you're doing a large group, whether you're working in partners, or maybe you have an experienced enumerator working with some newer enumerators. So with that, I'll turn it over to Roberto to discuss practices in the field.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Well, let's start with this. Remember, all the information that we are giving you right now and this afternoon is information that you will use in your schools, in your training. So we are trying to give you some advice, some piece of information, so you have some sort of organization there. And the first thing that we would like to discuss is that you will take between 60 to 90 minutes during your field practices per commodities, between 60 and 90 minutes per commodity. You need to demonstrate and discuss the starting corner, including the use of the ribbon, laying out the plot, pre-label stakes and buffer zone, completing or filling out the Form B and the commodity status. And as well, you need to discuss to make sure that they understand the shipping, the UPS shipping process. You need to do some coordination there. Make sure that they understand that part. Next slide, please. Something happened? Oh, sorry. Corn, talking about the corn, remember the corn is going to be Form B. The corn is knowing to have 5 years to include in your here measurements. Caliper is always an issue, so make sure that you review the reading the caliper and how to measure the length of the hair. Each coach has or will be receiving weights to calibrate scales. If you have any trouble with the scales, go ahead and contact your AD so we can ship some new one to your group. So again, we will ship some test material so you can test the scale, make sure that the scale is working correctly. And if it's something happening, contact your associate director so we can make some arrangements. Next slide, please, if you don't mind. Right, soybeans. Remember, for soybeans, you need to discuss where to put the bamboo sticks or the bike flags, depending on the area of the country you are, and how to tie the flagging ribbon around them. Discuss the soybean frame and demonstrate how to use it. Have fun with that, all right? And have plans and markers. Practice all the counts on an actual plans, all right? Next slide, please. And this is the funny part. Based on experience, sometimes the enumerators, they will ask you, hey, what if? So try to avoid those, focus on the training. Remember, you are a leader there. You are a person that manage the time frame. You are the person that manage the training. So make sure that you have control over the team. All right. So again, avoid any type of noise or what if situation. If somebody there, if some enumerator is is struggling with the learning, do not stop the training, just move forward and try to address or answer any specific situation after the training is over. Talk to the person individually. So that is a good strategy that you can use there. Make sure that the person is understanding after the training is over, because sometimes people will have a specific situations. So again, don't try to stop the training. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I cover all those things. Then once again, if you have any trouble, contact your manager as well. Ask for help if you have any questions or anything like that. We are here to help you. This is for my people. If you have any trouble, any issue, contact your manager. Your manager is going to contact me. Do not hesitate to contact any person if you need help. All right. With that being said, I think, let's see, who is the next victim over here? George? Good luck, George.
Thanks, Roberto. Appreciate it. So we've got data collection next, and when you're done in the field, we're going to discuss the data collection dates. The dates for each iteration were already passed out in the training email and is also posted online. As the regional websites are built out, this information will be added to the survey calendars as well. So particular on Form A, we're looking for 4 separate call attempts for just kind of spread out across the day. So AM being in the morning, sometime over the lunch hour around noon, sometime in the afternoon, or in the afternoon, or I'm sorry, in the evening for the PM. So spreading that out in case you've got operators that are out in the field in the morning or they're trying to beat the heat late at night. Form B, you want to be efficient when going out into the field while still being safe. So if there are 4 fields close to each other, but there's high temperatures, I know we're getting some of that in Northeast next week, do it in 2 different days rather than risking heat stroke for 1 visit. That's not quite worth that at all. Next slide, please. Quality control. So coaches are expected to complete 1 form per enumerator per commodity. So 1 form per enumerator per commodity. We do have a couple enumerators that are going to have more than 1, so keep that in mind. Quality control is not done when going out with an enumerator. It must be in a field the enumerator completed alone. Enumerators are less likely to make a mistake when the coach is there helping. We understand that more enumerators in a larger territory now, you may complete quality control outside the data collection counts, but please try to do it as close to the data collection dates as possible because conditions do change. If possible, all quality control is to be completed in September. This is so if an enumerator does have errors, we catch the issue early. If you cannot get through all the enumerators in September, prioritize your new or enumerators that you know are struggling. Quality control forms will be shipped out to you with the assignment materials. A form will be posted online to submit quality control forms for permanent record. And slide, please. So it is important to drop a pin out in the field. Debbie's got a video queued up here for us. So I got to do a quick transition on screens. this is important for you while she's doing that to be able to find where in the field that particular test was set up.
Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about dropping a pin on maps. So this year things are a little different with finding our objective yield fields. Since we do not have an area map telling us where our field is, once we find the field with our operator, we want a way to help us and our coaches find the field in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on our iPad. You can do this on your iPad, you can do it on a smartphone, but we're going to open the map icon. And I want to apologize, I know it's a little blurry, and this is the best I could make it, but we are going to go into our map icon. The first thing you'll notice is that there is a blue dot. The blue dot is where you physically are at a point in time. What we would like you to do is when you're at the field entrance, open up your maps. You're going to get right next to your dot, and we're going to tap the screen. So I'm going to show you here a couple times. We'll start first this one. So you noticed I just held it for about 2 seconds there. So I'm going to do it again, just in a little slight different spot. 2 seconds. And it gave me this screen to the side. So what you're going to do once you have it where your field entrance is, you're going to select this pin. Okay? So now that we have our pin, there are a couple things we're going to do here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a note. And this is just for your reference to help identify the field. So in this note, we're going to say that this is corn sample 4. So I'm going to hit done. Now we can see corn sample 4. The other thing I'd like to note here are these coordinates. These are the GPS coordinates for this pin. We would like you to write down these coordinates on the Form B form. When you are done with all of your counts, you're going to take a picture of the front and the back of the form that identifies the sample number and the coordinates, and you're going to send that to your coach. The reason we're going to do that is for 2 reasons. The first one is for quality control purposes. Your coach can go out and verify all of your counts. And the other is if for some reason you are unable to go to a field in a future month, your coach has the exact entrance of that field and can go out and help you if needed. So we have identified our corn sample 4 location. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit this X right here. And as you can see, I have 4 places identified. So I'm going to tap my 4 places. And you can see I played with this a little bit earlier. I have corn sample 1, soybean sample 2, corn sample 3, and the one we just did together, our corn sample 4. So if I would tap on our corn sample 1, it will take me to that location and it will allow me to drive. So right here I can get my driving directions and I can figure out exactly how to get to corn sample 1 with our driving route and go to the exact same location to park my car. I'm going to do one more thing here. We're going to go do one more pin just so everyone can see it another time. So we're going to say that right here is where my field entrance is. I'm going to take it, I'm going to tap the screen, just a 1, 2. Once again, I'm going to hit pin. I'm going to add a note. We'll say this is a soybean field. Soybean sample 5. I'm going to tap done again. These are the GPS coordinates we're going to share with our coach. We hit our X button right here. Now we have 5 saved locations. Nice part is if you kind of zoom out, depending on how far they are, you can kind of see your dots. This might be a little difficult to see, but here's one right here. I have another dot right here and there. So once again, it's very hard to see on the video, but if you zoom out, you can actually see all of your little dots and you can drive to all of your fields needed in a day. If you have any questions when you're going or doing this, please ask your coach. Once again, this is for you to help easily find all of your fields, and it is also for your coach. So if there's a reason that you cannot do it, your coach also knows exactly where that field is.
All right, so as we wrap that up, I'm going to pass it over to Amanda to continue on.
Alrighty. So at this point, we have everybody's samples set up and everything is going very well. And now we enter into harvest. And it's a long time from training to harvest. And sometimes we forget things like which bags we should put the corn in. And this is one of those times we really want to make sure that the enumerators go back through the harvest training if necessary and make sure we're packaging up all of this, all of our samples are correct. Please, most of our enumerators that are newish could use one more time of going out during harvest, especially brand new enumerators and any enumerators that are struggling. We don't want to work this entire time period and then lose a sample at harvest because we haven't packaged correctly. Okay. Just a couple other topics. First is field safety. We're not going to discuss this a lot, but there's quite a bit to unpack in the checklist that you'll receive. There's a full list of safety topics. Make sure that people are aware of the weather and that they need to let someone know as they're headed into the field. That can be a family member or another enumerator or their coach. This is just for safety. We need to remind them to dress appropriately for field work and to bring water. If pesticides are sprayed within 3 days, do not go in the field and make documented notes on that. Do not enter the field even if it means that we'll miss the counts for the month. So instruct your enumerators to know that it is okay if that field has been sprayed. We'll just catch it next month. We want to be efficient, but the enumerator's health is the priority number 1 here. Enumerators should hold on to all of their OY supplies each year, including their satchels or buckets, soybean frames, calipers, scissors or shears, all of their external equipment, but also their unused sample bundles. I know in the past some regions have sent them back. However, we are going to go ahead and hold on to those. And that way we can decrease the number of bundles that we're sending out year over year. So please don't throw those away or send them back. Hold on to them. We're going to hold all of our paperwork until December 16th. That way we just ensure that we're, have everything set. We've watched all the samples go through. This is just one more reminder that those B forms are not going to come with the pre-printed months on them. So make sure that enumerators are labeling those B forms. Finally, overtime, there is pretty much 0 overtime on this survey outside of special circumstances. Those circumstances need to be okayed with ADs and with managers. And so there are places where we're spread farther afield and we need to work together to make sure that we are getting those samples done, but we want to make sure to keep that safety priority. So if you run into hot temperatures, go home and come back another day. Some individuals are carrying really heavy sample loads, and to that end, we want to work with managers and ADs to make sure that we keep that safety priority, but also manage overtime. Okay, Debbie. All right. Before we switch to any questions for NAS, please remember please remind your enumerator to take time entering data into CAPI. We want to make sure that those iPads do not go to the field. We want to keep them safe and sound at home or in the truck. But we also want to make sure that that data gets entered in a timely manner. We will eliminate 95% of callbacks by just putting data in a timely manner. So I know that, as an enumerator, sometimes it's tempting to just wait till the very last day, but that really puts everybody in a bind. And we want to make sure that we're being able to process the information quickly and correctly. So daily information into CAPI, just like you would your timesheet, very important. If there is a question or concern, NAS will email you to follow up with your enumerators. Do not take advantage of having their email. All of this works when we use the hierarchy system. So use your managers and your ADs and work with them if you have internal questions. Answering that email is the way we want to do that. We're doing this namely because we have a very tight turnaround. So if you have any questions and you still need to go through the proper chain, so we'll work through our chain of command and we'll go back and forth with NAS at the highest level. All right. And with that, I think we are ready to open it up to questions.
Sharon?
So, you mentioned that the field enumerators wouldn't be able to work objective yield until they've done the online training. So will the coaches or managers be notified if the field enumerators complete those trainings or if they have not completed the trainings?
That one is kind of with you to work with them. There is no complete way to monitor or say, yes, they did or did not watch the videos. That should be reflected on their timesheets. And I think we've all gone to a training where we have realized that they have no idea what we're referencing while we're doing our training. We need to make sure that they do all of those materials. And if you've noticed that they're struggling, didn't know or do not know what was in the training, that is where that conversation needs to happen. Yolanda?
I guess with our new iPads, I think that's a wonderful idea doing the pins, but I question whether we're going to be out there in the field with these new iPads in the service area in the rural areas of Nebraska and Kansas that we're going to have service to do that pin. How do you want us to handle it if they say, well, I didn't have service?
Do the best you can. And as I mentioned earlier, that exact same process can also be done on a smartphone. I'm fairly confident that even if you don't have service, your map might still, like if you find it on your, or where you are on your map might still pop up. I cannot guarantee that though. But if you need to, you can get the location from your phone. And when you do have service, you can drop it onto your iPad when you have service on your iPad. I realize that only works if they have a smartphone, so I apologize, but they do have other resources if their iPad does not have service.
Debbie, they'll get probably maybe a gray map. They should be still able to put a pin in, but when they get home, they can find the field and drop a pin. They don't have to be on that, right there to drop a pin. They can go in and find it on the map.
Thank
Debbie,
you.
can you show me how to rename or how to break the sample down again?
Oh, I did see that comment in the chat. I was going to say if we wait until the end and I'll replay that video again for everybody if
Okay.
you'd like to stay.
Sure.
We will be sharing that with all the enumerators after the meeting today. as well. Mhm. All right. What is
Debbie?
the total? Oh,
No, go ahead.
there was a question. What is the total time allowed, not counting travel, for the coach sessions? So we expected about 2 hours per commodity. Please know that if you do have a group with a lot of new enumerators, or maybe you have a group full of experience, that could modify slightly, but we're expecting about 2 hours per commodity for your coach sessions. Okay. Well, about the service, I'll be honest, we'll do our best. We're only going to know when we go out there if you're going to have service on those new iPads. Yolanda, I'll let you go before we get any more in the chat.
Okay, I wish that you could do something that we could tell that the enumerators watch the videos, because like you said, I went and I'm like, you really don't know that, you know, and even experienced enumerators. I wish that there was some way that they had to know something or whatever, that we knew they watched them.
That has been the question as long as I had been with NAS, is how to prove that. And even if you do have a home study quiz of some sort, and I think there was a question on that, even with that, sometimes they could wing it and you never quite knew. I will answer it. We used to have the quizzes. Are we no longer doing them? I'm not going to say that it's a blanket. We're no longer doing them. Right now, during the transition, we are working between NAS and NASDA to figure out what some of these training materials are going to look like in the future, and working together to get that done. So even though we don't have it for a Y, I know we did not have anything like a home study quiz for SEEP. I'm not going to say that that is going away entirely in the future. It just did not go with the timeline we had at this time. Kevin?
I had a question on the time.
Mhm.
My group specifically, I have 6 people, but 4 of them are new, brand new. So when we get here, I'm going to have a presentation in the garage, you know, with A form, B forms. We're going to weigh scales. Then we're going to spend 90 minutes in the field. I know we're at least that much with 4 new people. Then by the time you get back in, you load things up. I really think it's going to take closer to 4. Are we going to go for that?
Work with Jeff or work with your managers on those if you have concerns. But like I said, that is a prime example. When you have a lot of enumerators, things can take more time.
Okay.
We set those as our guidelines. We're expecting about 2 hours per commodity.
I understand.
We're well over. Things happen.
And it's really good to see you again.
It's good seeing you too, Kevin. Just to clarify, the quality control forms are to be done after the enumerators have gone out and set up the field. We are just checking it's all correct without them. Yes. And I want to iterate this. We really do want them separately, because if you're out there with them, they're either going to check those steps a little bit more. You might be helping along the way. We want to see how they do things when you are not present with them. And I'm going to iterate this also. We did say if you had a new or struggling, those are the ones we wanted to make sure we get through first. Through quality control, we've had some experienced enumerators found out they were doing things wrong for years. So please, we really want to stress that quality control is very important to go out and make sure everyone is doing their field counts correctly. All right, as a supervisor, I would schedule a Zoom meeting with my team to go over the training videos and ask them specific questions relating to the videos that they would only know if they watch the videos. Also, would we schedule a Zoom and watch the videos together as a group? That was a good idea. What happens if someone cannot attend our field day? That would be for the coach and manager to work with that individual enumerator. We do expect all of that pieces, or all those pieces, to be trained to that enumerator. Life happens. We're well aware when you're trying to coordinate a bunch of people. Sometimes it doesn't work, but that enumerator must be trained before they start their field data collection. Will coaches get a list of all the assignments our enumerators have? This is where we're still in our fun. I love it. I laughed. I'm sorry. This is where we're still in that halfway. We have our 2 tiers right now in CAPI. We are getting closer. I promise we are getting closer to having that 3-tier structure. For those of you I've talked to, I have refused to say the date out loud because I'm superstitious that it's going to not happen. But I will tell you that I have been told a date and it is in the near future. But I'm not saying out loud for fear that I'm going to jinx it. So hopefully before OY data collection is completed, we will have a 3-tier structure in CAPI. But for that list, please work with your managers to know all of your enumerator fields. Why are we doing OY training early? We usually do the middle of August. I mean, you have until this point in time, until I believe we said August 8th to do your field setups. So if you would like to do yours a little bit later or do it in August, that's okay. We just want to make sure we have enough time to get those Form A's completed and get our setup done. Because I think it was Amanda mentioned earlier, we have some enumerators with very large workloads. We need to make sure they have time to get all those Form A's completed and setups. So when data collection actually begins, that we can go out there and get all of our counts done.
This is also a survey that relies heavily on location. And so this is the first time we've ever really trained as a large group and a multi-state group, you know, and this broadly. So some assignments out of like Lower Kansas, Oklahoma, you know, I don't know if we've got Texas in here or not, Casey, but those corn samples go fast. And it's really important that we have those enumerators trained up and ready to go. And while some of you guys closer to the Canada border are going to get the chance to have a little longer with your samples, and setup may not be as necessarily right out the gate, but definitely want to make sure that we get everybody all together on that.
All right, Janice.
Okay, just a comment. They said, mark your field. But last year I had to walk a 1/4 mile to get to my field. So, and you're saying don't take your iPad into the field.
I would still mark it to where you actually parked your vehicle and then include that in the little instructions. I mean, you guys always made yourself notes. That's a perfect thing for them to add as a note. Hopefully no fence hopping this year.
You should have your phone with you. You could drop a pin with you with phone, couldn't you?
Yep. If you'd have your, if you take your phone with you, you could drop it with your phone. All right. So if they don't go with us when we do the quality, how can we train them if something is wrong? You want us to talk them through about issues afterwards. I hope it doesn't happen often either. So yes, I mean, ideally you're going to go out there. Hopefully things are all looking good. Please note, depending on the length of time, especially in soybeans, your counts are going to modify slightly depending on how long it is from the time they do it and your quality control. If you have someone who does it wrong, I mean, we're not just like maybe slightly concerned, but doing it wrong, that's our indicator that you need to go out there the next month and you need to help them lay out or do their counts in the future. The reason we want to get all of these quality control done in September is so when October comes around, we've caught those issues. We're going out with that enumerator and verifying that their next month's counts are all correct. And if you do have an enumerator that is wrong, the data was incorrect, we need to let managers and ADs know, because we're going to pass that along to NASS that we had concerns with some of that data as well. When will managers be able to see the assignments? Everything should go back out as soon as the last of the shipments or as soon as the assignments are shipped. So I believe we're still on track for that to go out on Friday. So managers should be able to see everything either Friday or possibly Monday, just to give them that time to get everything out. All right, just Ohio, you guys did yours a little bit earlier. So we are allowed to lay out the fields before the count dates. Yes, you can go out and lay out those fields before, I'm hopefully saying this correct, before August 25th will be our first count. And as we've mentioned, it's really just to make sure as you get your workloads, you have enough time to do your field counts during the actual data collection count frame. I think calling 4 times before going in person is a mistake. I'm afraid there's a higher chance of getting into the wrong field by selecting over the phone. Also, some operators will refuse over the phone and say yes when you go in person. I mean, there is always that possibility as well. That is part of, we want to try and have clear communication when we are on the phone, or it is very possible that you get that permission, and while you're going out to the field, maybe talking to the operator, see if he'd be willing to meet you somewhere to do it. Once again, it is a possibility. It's very dependent on the type of farmer. We want to use as good descriptors as possible to make sure we get the best information as possible. We talk more about bike flags. We can, yes. So different states use different things in their soybean fields. Some of them use bamboo, some used bike flags. It is really just dependent on whatever state you were in the past and their preferences in the past. Bike flags were very similar to the bamboo. They got stuck in the field the exact same way. It just was a different material used for our soybean.
So, Debbie, I want to put a little asterisk on one of the points. There's certain commodities like corn, you may not need to lay out corn samples ahead of time everywhere. You also, if you have, maybe you have 5 total samples, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to lay all those out ahead of time. So this is a place where, you know, the managers kind of need to be the charge on that versus us. So follow what your managers set forth on that.
Emily?
Hey, I just had a question. So you were saying that managers should be able to see on Cappy on maybe after Friday when samples are sent out, but you also said that they're not being labeled by samples. So I guess I'm confused with where that falls, because what I'm thinking is I had several quit, specifically one gentleman that quit had 19 assignments. So I now have 19 to reassign plus the other people on just one team. So in order to get those not labeled by sample materials to redistribute, kind of cat and mouse, I guess.
So the paper materials, they're trying to send out as much generic as possible. Just everything used to be assembled in the states or in the regions, and now we have one area trying to do it for everywhere across the country. So part of it is we want to try and get out in a timely manner, and if they aren't labeled, less margin of error, we can get things to the enumerators faster. So if you are splitting up those assignments, that is where we had those instructions for what are in those kit envelopes and what needs to go for every single one. So if you're giving 5 assignments to enumerator A, 5 assignments to enumerator B, we just need to make sure that they get the correct number of A forms, B forms, and kit envelopes, those types of things, to get them all distributed correctly. And because there are those instructions that say what goes in every individual packet, you should be able to get those distributed to the correct enumerator going out. Cappy will have them labeled, like you're going to know in Cappy, the paper form themselves is not going to be labeled.
Okay, that was my question. It was more the Cappy thing. I guess I don't see the holdup on waiting till Friday on the Cappy side if it. Because the CAPI side is what has me scared more than I can handle the paper redistribution. It's the CAPI and having that many enumerators on my drop down that's going to be a lot to shuffle.
The reason they're not on CAPI right now, and it's the same thing for SEEP, is because they're distributing it for so many enumerators. If you were to go in right now and make those changes, what we send the enumerators and what you're seeing in CAPI could be different. And this way we know clear enumerator A got this many corn, this many soybean, and straight down the line. We know it will, in your case, obviously, it's going to have to be redistributed, but we know exactly where that packet is being sent at this point in time. However, if you do have an enumerator that's being terminated and we need to pull it out and maybe send it to a coach, if you let us know that, we can pull it and send it to a coach. Ben probably hated that I just said that out loud. I apologize, Ben, but we can pull something if needed. Oh, Jeff, are laminated OY guides available for new enumerators? So this was a upper Midwest item that we provided for you. The laminated forms are not going to be, we're not printing them like that. The whole booklet will be online. The pictures that have the different crop commodities and showing the stages, you will get a copy of that in your assignments. So part of it will be available to new enumerators. For those of you not in the upper Midwest, that is okay. You guys are going to have some resources that are available with assignments, and everything will be available online for them to utilize. I make my own handout. That is great. All right, be sure they still do the maps and ribbons to find the units in case electronic devices don't work. Yes, that is a very valid point. We want to make sure they're writing everything down. Definitely using the ribbon so they do not get lost in the field while they're in a corn or soybean field. All right, I have 8 experienced enumerators. Do I need a field day with them? Yes, you still do need a field day with experienced enumerators to talk about some of the processes, make sure you go through the practice. As I mentioned earlier, we did quality control on an enumerator who'd been with us for, 10 or 15 years, and we found out that he was doing it wrong all that time. So we need to make sure that even experienced enumerators are going out there and getting that practice time. Who is putting the kit envelopes together? The enumerators will. When they receive all of their assignments, there is a piece of paper in there that will tell them how to put together that kit envelope. We did suggest in the PowerPoint earlier is you guys can go through that a little bit together to help make sure everyone is doing it correctly, but that is going to fall on the enumerator. Will we have paper before our group training? As long as you're falling within that time frame that we asked you to for your group training, yes, everybody should have their paper materials before the group training. All right. Can enumerators simply send us the pins for the fields either by text or email? This would eliminate the transcription errors. If they do it on a smartphone, yes. If they do it on their iPad, I cannot guarantee that they would be able to do it. On the iPad, they cannot have they don't have their phone number on that. I'm going to be honest, I originally had them like opening up their email on their iPad and copying and pasting. And then I realized that I probably would have a lot of enumerators hate me at the end of that video. So if you have a enumerator that is capable of sending it to you in text or an email, that is awesome. But this was the way of making it for people who may not be quite as tech savvy or have that smartphone also be able to get you the GPS coordinates. All right, will coaches not be doing their own OY get sampling of what the enumerators will receive? I do not know the answer to that one, so I'm actually going to have to give that one to NAS. Ben, you're the only NAS person I see right now, if a coach does not have assignments, are they still getting a packet in the mail?
Actually, Curtis put together that assignment package. I cannot remember specifically if coaches received extra supplies. Curtis, you care to weigh in on this here?
Sure. No, if you don't have assignments, you will not be getting anything in the assignment package. In the past, I think in some regions they've sent like supervisor listings, just a list of everyone's stuff, and we're just moving to CAPI with that.
Thanks, Curtis.
All right. We have officially gone through all of the questions. Does anyone have any questions or something for NAS regarding the training materials? Yolanda.
I guess I still haven't clarified in my mind. So the packet we are going to get, it has no operator name, no sample number, no pay, or it has the paces. What's the front of that kit going to look like, and what's the inside? What information? I'm confused.
Curtis, would you like to take this one for us?
Yes, I can do that. So the packing list on the front page will have a list of everything that the packers in the lab need to put together based on your assignments. And then on the back page of that, it will have a very shortened assignment list with operator name, place, as well as any matching like between corn and soybeans and sample number. So it will be a very brief assignment listing.
On the packet, on the yellow packet or whatever golden packet?
So that's the kit envelope. And it's going to make a lot of sense once you get it. This is totally new. It's just going to be like a packing slip that they put into your order. And you can use that to check that you got all of the supplies based on how many assignments you had. And then on the flip side of that, it will have the assignment listing.
Curtis, I'll jump in here.
Thank you.
So
Andy.
Essentially, what you're going to receive is a supply of envelopes, a supply of Forms A for every sample you've been assigned. You will receive 5 Form B copies for each sample you've been assigned. If you have gleanings of any gleaning samples, you will receive 1 gleaning form per gleaning sample, a supply of 5 sample ID tags per sample, a unit location sheet, and on one side of it is a unit location sheet, which has the rows and paces for locating your sample based on the acreage of the sample field. On the opposite side of that form will be the field grid for sketching out the location of the field and where the samples were located in the field. All of this will come with a sheet of instructions on how to put together your individual kit envelopes. The Form B and the Form E has traditionally been labeled in the field office. The labels have been printed on with the, if you remember right, the individual sample numbers. So if you could imagine the amount of coordination that would require for pulling out 5 pages for sample 1, putting them in the sample 1 envelope, moving on to the next one all the way through the other 200 samples in the state, right? We do not have those people in place any longer. So what we have done is added an area where the old label used to exist on these forms, and you will write in the state ID, which is the 2-digit FIPS, the 9-digit POID associated with that sample, and then the sample number. And you will use that, you will put that on each form that you complete to keep track of things through your survey year, right? So again, these directions are fairly straightforward. It's a bit of a assembly project, but it's what has to be done to be able to get this, I guess, to keep this project alive, frankly. Everything is being distributed directly to the enumerators. Previously, this has been done in the field office, so we would submit sample supply orders to the NOD, and then they would ship them to the regional field offices, and a number of people would have to get together and assemble all these kits individually, sort them by supervisory group, and get them shipped to the field. Since we don't have that structure in place with our regional field offices, these are the measures that had to be made to keep this project alive. Any other questions there?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nas, can one of you answer, how were the samples chosen?
Yeah, I'll keep going here. So since we previously, when objective yield samples for corn, soybeans, all row crops were selected from respondents reporting the respective commodity in the June area survey. The June tracts that had either respective crop had the opportunity to be selected for objective yield sampling. Since we are no longer doing June area, the objective yield samples are selected from June agricultural survey respondents reporting either commodity. So you should be recontacting people that gave a positive response on the June ag survey.
And if they were refused or were negative, then they probably weren't included in this?
That is correct.
Okay.
And then some in preliminary sample review, I believe NASA coordinators and some supervisors, before we went into the new NASA organizational structure, reviewed the sample themselves and identified records that would be likely refusals or difficult respondents, and those were held records. So we should be contacting willing participants here.
The next one is, if you have a new manager or coaches that do not have samples assigned to them, they still need a packet so they know how to help enumerators or anyone that calls them. So I hate to kind of put you on the spot, Curtis, but I know we have that list of coaches. If it's possible to send them an example as well, we would really appreciate it. And then 2 hours to do field work and assemble kits will not be enough time with 8 or 9 enumerators. I don't expect you to go through every single assignment and put together their kit envelopes. We just want to make sure that they understand what they're doing it and can do it correctly. So yes, if you try to do everything, it would certainly not be enough, but just ensure that they see an example of it. Everyone is doing their kit envelopes correctly. I'll be honest, I had some enumerators that liked it deconstructed when they got it, and everything that we used to assemble, they took it all apart. And that is okay too. We just want to make sure that every enumerator has everything they need when they start their field data collection. When will the enumerator see the assignments in CAPI? That will be the same thing. Form A, I'm saying this correct, Curtis, that would be at the same time as when everything gets shipped, correct?
Yeah, I guess that's something we would check with you guys on, but we can turn them on CAPI whenever you guys would like them. And like you touched on earlier, Debbie, the reason we have them off right now is just for the sake of pulling assignments and keeping everything straight.
All right. And Darcy, I'm sorry, I know your hand has been raised for a while. I was going through the chat. Darcy?
Thanks. Well, I'm not holding my hand up really, so it's not tired. Okay, we're supposed to go out with our new enumerators, which is a really good idea. But they have to call and get the permission first. How long do they have before we can just say, hey, because there's gonna be somebody that doesn't start calling till who knows when. And I want everybody done definitely before August 25th, and I gotta look and see what the time frame is so I can try not to hit overtime if it works. But I mean, or not much, because I have enough fields to take care of my own. The 25th through September 1st, I'm not there, so yeah, what is their cutoff there?
The hard thing is there's no like cutoff. For Form A, the processes are the same. They haven't through September 1. Obviously, they can do the field. If it's inaccessible, they get 1 more month. That being said, I would set that standard yourself. You have to have all these phone calls done by, depending on when you do it, 1 week after your guys' school. Every operator should have had those 4 phone calls. then we need to talk. How can we go out and do those field visits and be responsible on our field visits? If you
Good
have
plan.
someone who is procrastinating, that is between you and managers, and make sure that we are communicating that, because as you just pointed out, this is not this is not the item to procrastinate. We do not want to start contacting those operators on August 25th.
And one other thing is June area gone forever, or do we have no idea? Or is it coming back
I
next
have
year?
heard so many different things. I'm going to say we have no idea at this point in time.
Okay, thank you.
I love this. I think you'll appreciate it. Stay tuned, Darcy. We'll let you know. Stay tuned. How much time is allotted for coaches on prepping mini school materials? We did not set a specific timeline. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on this. You can work with your coach. You need to take the time for you to be comfortable. So when you are out there, you're ready for those talking points, that you know exactly what you need to do when you go out into the field. So just like we want the enumerators doing their home study and their prep, we need to make sure that you guys are also doing your prep before going out into the field. So if you have a concern that you are spending too much, reach out to your manager, but we need to make sure that that happens. Are coaches allowed any money for water or snacks? I know my coaches used to bring water and snacks. I don't know if they ever got reimbursed for this. Does anyone have any of my ADs? Do you guys have an opinion on this one?
When we handled Arms 3, we had a small budget. So we can reach out to Josh and ask on that, but that's been my only experience with snacks. We were never allowed to cover a meal, so a lunch would be a no on that. But the main thing I will say is, like, the goal is to move them through, and you want to encourage them to also remember to bring their own water, get in the habit of having, that responsibility land on the shoulders of the enumerator. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be prepared in case someone forgets. But one of the things is, as you're working through this transition, you want to constantly create the culture that the enumerator needs to work to be responsible for their own needs.
And that actually answered the next one with lunch as well. You always had a budget of $25 for meetings. That had to have been a region specific. I will be honest, I did not have that for ours. So Iowa supervisors, please don't get angry at me for saying that we did not have that. That will definitely be a discussion that we need to have as ADs and Josh in the future to make sure that we have something, a plan. So as Amanda said, we will reach out to Josh and figure out what an appropriate decision is for meetings in the future.
And that's Josh King, not Josh Brown. That's on the.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just going to clarify.
Brown, the right
I'm not
Josh.
sitting here not answering.
Josh Brown is all on you. Good clarification. All right. Anything else? These have been great questions.
Debbie, I got 2 of them. Did you hear me?
Yep.
One, okay, the scales are supposed to be calibrated. Are you guys going to send out calibration kits, or how are we going to calibrate the scales?
So if you do not have weights will be sent to you. And the last equipment memo that we sent out, I'm going to say this was actually for everyone other than Midwest Plains. We did ask if you were a coach and if you had corn scales. Not all of our coaches responded to that, so we do need to figure out who all needs those weights.